SABA E544 17-inch television set. You know, cabinet with doors. I'll show you the chassis in a sec. This is the cabinet. That's the back of it. Now these sets were imported into Australia by a company called Electrosound, and yeah, they were put into a locally assembled cabinet. And yeah, this one here is a 17-inch model. I've taken the chassis out because I'll show you all the bodgy work inside that. Yeah, isolating transformer because it's a German set, 220 volt AC, and they're running it off 240, so I'll have to check the appropriate modifications have been done. But yeah, the chassis just slides out, very easy access. Okay, so we'll go and have a look at the chassis. Yeah, the tube is mounted on the chassis, which makes for easy service access because you can take the whole thing out as one unit, and when you're working on it you don't need extension leads to run to the yoke and picture tube. So it looks fairly conventional. Yeah, this glass panel here is locally made because it's got Electrosound printed on it. Alright, we'll turn the chassis over and have a look underneath. It's had a Shawbright picture tube put in it, so that's obviously not original. Now Shawbright was one of the picture tube rebuilders in Australia. Okay, now it's been worked on before. I was told that it did work at some point after all this work, but let's have a look. Okay, we've got this capacitor here unterminated. I presume this capacitor is its replacement. We've got this unterminated piece of copper wire which has been tacked on here. This resistor's just hanging free. I don't know if this burnt thing here is its replacement. This little pile of firecrackers here dangling off its wires. Look at this multi-strand building wire, so it's all sort of hanging in mid-air like this. Another bundle of firecrackers joined in mid-air. What else have we got? Yeah, these wires just hanging out the back of the chassis. One's connected to this capacitor in here, and this one runs into there, wherever that is. Oh, look at that. Another dangly capacitor not connected to anything. Maybe this is its replacement there. That's obviously been removed from a printed circuit board because you can see the wires have been soldered to its short legs. Okay, so I mean, at least look, it's been recapped, so you know I don't have to go through and change heaps of paper condensers. Okay, now we're having a look at the circuit. Look, it's a very conventional set. Of course, in Australia, most service technicians would sort of throw their hands up in horror because it's a series heater set, and how dare we have series heater sets in Australia. Well, here it is. So, standard tuner, PCC84, which is a 7AN7, PCF82 converter, which is 9U8. EF80s, 3 of them is for your Vision IF, they're 6BX6s. Unusually, we have a PCL81 for the video amplifier. Now that's a valve I have not ever come across before, but here it is. So yeah, triode pentode, and I gather from the data it's meant to be, or it was designed as a audio output valve, so it's got a triode and a pentode. So the pentode is the video amp. and the triode looks like it's for the gated AGC. MW4364 was the original picture tube. Magnetic focus, and would have had an ion trap, but that's all been removed from here because this is a modern, well, modern in the 1960s straight gun tube and electrostatic focus. So you just take the focus magnets out of it. ECL80 or 6AB8 for the sync separator, that's standard. Another ECL80 triode pentode for the frame oscillator and output, nothing unusual there. ECC82 or 12AU7 AFC for the horizontal and blocking oscillator for the horizontal, and then that drives the line output valve, PL81 or 21A6 if you prefer American type numbers. PY83, I think it's a 17Z3 or something like that, but anyway, standard, yeah, 9-pin damper diode. Very simple line output stage because it's only a 70-degree model, so you don't need tons of correction and all that sort of stuff to complicate things. And sound IF is another EF80 6BX6, and that feeds a PABC80 or 9AK8, which is a triode with two diodes. So the two diodes are the FM detector, the triode is the audio amplifier, PL82 is the audio output. I think that's 16A5 from memory, and the power supply, series heater. As I showed you before, there's an isolating transformer in the bottom of the cabinet, because live chassis sets were not liked in Australia, so the obvious way around that is a one-to-one transformer. It's got halfway rectifier, choke filter, all of that. All the heaters are wired in series with a 240 ohm resistor. Now, one of the things I want to check is what that resistor actually is in this set, because being German, it was designed for 220 volts, so when it's used on 240, that resistor should actually be a little bit higher. Yeah, selenium rectifier, speaking of which, that's in here. Can we see it from up above? Kind of, not very well, but it's sort of down in there. So we need to see if that's right, and if it's not, have to put in a silicon rectifier with a series resistor. Alright, so that's a very, very quick overview of the set. Yeah, now I'm going to go through it and yeah, tidy up all the bodge. Oh, and what's this? This looks like a partially exploded capacitor with all this aluminium foil here. Wire, a foreign wire here. Okay, so interesting. Alright, the restoration shall commence. Okay, back again, and I've tidied everything up. Looks a lot neater up around here. I've put the filter capacitors on a new tag strip which I've screwed to the chassis. And one thing I'd point out is when you're using the earth lugs on tag strips, don't rely just on the fact that they're screwed down, because that can be a poor connection, and I've actually earthed the solder lugs back to the chassis to prevent any problems there. Okay, some of the things I've found, here are the parts I've taken out. This 47 microfarad 350 volt, that was being used as the cathode bypass for the PL82. Now at 350 odd volts, that's a complete waste and the capacitor's far too big. But as it turned out, the original one, which was hanging by one lead, actually tested perfectly well using my ESR meter. So that went back in. This is an interesting one. A dual capacitor in the vertical section. That was, yeah, these 0.1 microfarads here. And that was tucked down the back in there. And that is one capacitor that actually should have been replaced by whoever did this work, because being in the vertical section, any problems there is going to result in poor height and linearity. What else have we got? Yeah, this 4 microfarad turned out to be where this is being put. It's another one that was hanging by one leg. Another paper cap I found, can't remember where that was from. I think that was a 1 microfarad. That was in the it was in the video section somewhere. Oh yeah, here it is. That tested pretty much open circuit. Another case of a high voltage capacitor being put where a low voltage one would have done, and that's up here in the audio feedback circuit. So I put a 100 volt cap in, which is about 10 times smaller. Oh yeah, this burnt resistor, that was actually connected across these two tags, and this is the original resistor which is hanging on one tag and actually tested perfectly right. The reason this is burnt up is because what was originally here had obviously broken down. So I've put a 1.6 kilovolt capacitor, and that capacitor is in the AFC feedback. It was 500 picofarads. Yeah, this one here, C543, and that's the 3K resistor. It has been adapted to 240 volts. This 20 ohm resistor in series with the selenium rectifier, that's been added in series with R703 here. And similarly, I'll show it clearer when I turn the chassis over, but the heater resistor has had another 70 ohm resistor added in series with it, so it's now 310 ohms. So they've done the right thing, and that's being done in the SABA factory because the resistor is the same brand as the existing 240 ohm dropper resistor. Tuner has been out at some point before because the wires have been cut and left and tacked back on. So something's happened there. I haven't opened the tuner yet. And yeah, mains filter capacitor, which was this paper capacitor. This actually tested really well. It was up around, well over 20 mega ohms, but they do have a habit of going short circuit and go bang, so I thought we'd put one of those in. So it's got a new metallized polyester job in there. Alright, well, turn the chassis over and we'll have another look at that. Now here's an interesting thing, the on-off switch. But look at this, it actually operates as a key as well. So obviously to prevent unauthorized viewing of the TV. 12 channels. Now whether these are European or Australian channels I don't know, I'll find that out in due course, but yeah, it goes from 1 to 12. Now yeah, the video IF, just looking at the frequency specified there, I strongly suspect that it is working on the European IF of 38.9 megs rather than the then Australian IF of 36. Alright, so on that note, yeah, I think I'll power it up and see what happens. Here it is with the Philips test pattern. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. I'm not 100% happy with the centering of the picture, and looking around the back, all we've got is this lever, which, if I shine a light in here, you can sort of see what looks like one centering magnet, except the problem is that's all aluminium. So I'm wondering if when they removed the magnetic focus parts that some of the picture tube centering magnets went with it. So I might have to improvise something with a small permanent magnet there, but we'll just have a look at some off-air pictures if I get out of the test pattern.
It's just a little more simple. And you know what? And it feels really durable. Like, this is thick.
Your dreams. It's finally time to resume.
Do it, but I'm not in the competition.
The tube's in excellent condition, so I'm happy about that. Video response is all very good.
I first saw it on stage only about 4 years.
Yeah, so not much more to do with it. Audio's good. Oh, and it does have all the Australian channels on it. The old 10 channel plan, which existed until 1960. Yeah, so basically I've just got to sort out the centering and it can go back in its cabinet. We now have the proper damper diode, a PY83, in the circuit. Seeing as I had plenty of them, I thought it was the correct thing to do. That's the 17Z3 or PY81 that was in there. The difference is the PY83 has a 20 volt heater and slightly higher current rating. It's got no American type number, so yeah, just the PY83, or the 6.3 volt version is the EY83. One of the problems I discovered partway through this restoration is that when the set was warming up, the line oscillator would start and then it would suddenly stop, with the result that the PL81 had no drive to it. So basically, yeah, no EHT, no line deflection, and it seemed very strange that it would cut out just at this time. So what would get it going is just touching the grid pin here. and that would suddenly restore the set to operation. I've seen this happen, I think, at least once before, and it was a defect in, well, at the time it was a 6CM5, another kind of line output valve. So obviously some kind of disturbance would get it going again, and it would continue to run, you know, for as long as the set was switched on. So I put in another PL81 and haven't had that trouble since. Now all I can think of is that there is some kind of thermally sensitive grid short, because yeah, with a shorted grid, that is the only thing that, you know, could stop the line oscillator functioning. So it's been running, you know, quite a few hours with another PL81, and you know, it's start up every time. All back in the cabinet now. I just show you the thing I had to do with the centering magnet. This cable tie and little bar magnet thing is to compensate for the fact that someone has removed the original centering magnets. It was sort of annoying me a little bit that the picture wasn't perfectly centered, so that's helped a lot. Cabinet back. It was missing the thing that covers the neck of the cathode ray tube. I found a plastic thing in my shed. I don't know what it was from, but it's branded Decor, which is a company that makes plastic products for, you know, kitchens and whatnot, and pot plant holders. I think it might actually be a pot plant holder, but it actually fits perfectly. It's 12.5 centimeters diameter, or 5 inches if you prefer imperial. So I just made up some zinc aluminum brackets there to secure it. Yeah, it looks yeah, completely original. And yeah, this is my just over here, my workshop radio. For people who think vibrators are unreliable, they should come here, because this has been running just about every day for since 2018, and we're now coming up to yeah, March of 2022. So that's tuned to 2NUR at Newcastle, 135 k's away. Super regen. It's on my site if you are interested in it. So back to the TV. Yeah, I'm just going to put the back on it, and yeah, I'll do a final run through on how it performs. The transformer is interesting in that it's only rated for 130 VA, and the set, well, it not only draws closer to 150, but there's also the DC component because of the half-wave rectifier. So really the transformer should be rated at something higher than that. And it does run warm, but not warm enough to be overly worried, but still, if it was my design, I'd probably use a 250 VA transformer. The other thing is that the transformer is always powered up from the mains, because they're using the set's original on-off switch in its original configuration, that is on the secondary side. Obviously, you know, in Germany the set's used without the transformer. So the drawback is that you're drawing about 6 watts even when the set's switched off. 4mm banana sockets for the aerial. Interesting thing, if you've never seen it, that's 240 ohm ribbon. Normally it's 300 ohms, but in Europe there was a standard of 240 ohms, and they also had 60 ohm coax cable. Yeah, as I've mentioned before, there was once a focusing magnet in here, which was where the adjustment would have been, but now we've got electrostatic focus with the replacement tube, which has also got a much shorter neck and no ion trap. What else? Yeah, the original above chassis electrolytics, they're just for show now. Mains filter, extension speaker outputs, remote control socket, height and linearity there. That was the remnants of the RT&P transfer, which was required on all commercially sold Australian made radios and televisions. It's to do with patents and people being paid royalties. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Now I'm just going to look around for some proper screws to put the back on. Someone's put an assortment of chipboard screws and God knows what, Phillips head, hex head slotted. That really annoys me when people do that. That's just a sign of bodginess. So I'll look around for the proper screws with cut washers and do it properly.
Edward! What's wrong with you?
You just flow along. Sometimes it's as simple as changing the position of your wrist. You never have to stop working. Now come on, what other kind of machine?
Want 4 tyres for the price of 3, fitted at home, all work for...
Avoid the violent gangs and ultimately take control of Pompeii.
It's a bold experiment, but will it work?
It only takes one to slip up.
Feels the occupant have become...
It's all pushing our koalas closer to...
Normal game might have 20 fighting. No, he brings in over 400 gladiators.
These were the clues for... The man responsible was Elias Myers, a hugely successful businessman.
100, and there's been a number in the triple digits. The Premier says he did his best to keep Omicron at bay, with the first cases being reported in early January. And of disposal. Dave?
Here's a cake. I thought we might have an early afternoon thing.
I'll get it.
Oh, sorry we bombed out. How was the cruise?
Oh, terrific. You missed the best lunch. You would have really gutsed yourself.
I did. We had prawns.
Sounds like you two had a good time without us.
Yeah. I felt really dumb about missing the hydrofoil, eh? Had much trouble missing the hydrofoil?
Okay, well that's the SABA
We bought the tickets.
all done up and working.
Oh, do you want your money? Is that your problem?
I'll get my purse.
I think a nice, quiet afternoon tea would be a much better idea.
Got a cup of tea?